on Enugu poll LP faults Enugu petition tribunal judgment vis-a-vis Nasarawa vows to follow constitution and means to reclaim stolen mandate. And you also have INEC tackles media report on loss of credibility over massive litigation on page 5.
This Nigeria, Tinubu has capacity, political will to deliver dividends of democracy. That's coming from Wiki on page 61 of the paper. Nigeria's reserves suffered $717 million drop in September. That's credited to the CBN. Naira dips further to 1,152 per dollar at black market.
The Daily Asset, Supreme Court under pressure with only 10 justices. Litigants hardly get hearing dates. Reps seek appointment of new justices. And then you also see Nigeria-China sign $2 billion MOU for projects on page 8.
The Nigerian News Direct, Sanwo-Olu, Abiodun, Dangote, Bid, Akintola, Williams, farewell, extol attributes on page 2 of the paper. Then you have Supreme Court fixes Monday to hear Atiku Obi appeal against Tinubu on page 15.
And Leadership Friday looks at the 2023 polls. Tribunal dismisses 712 petitions, 179 withdrawn. INEC defends credibility of polls, releases report. UN demands accountability in Nigeria's election.
FG Brook just managing to pay salary. Who says that?
Bagutu.
Bagutu saying, okay. So we have the Nigerian Express. No plan to increase company taxes, says FIRS chair. And then Wiki to customs, no deal. FCT minister turns down request to reclaim revoked land.
And the Daily Times, that's an interesting one. Obuvori Okowa in Cold War over commissionerships. Sharply disagree over candidates for information and justice. Akpabio tells Tinubu Shetima home truth on page 4.
Standard Times, the Supreme Court fixes October 23 to hear Atiku's appeal seeking fresh evidence against Tinubu. And then you have other stories. Alleged ill health. PDP calls for Akere Dulu's impeachment. APC youth disagree.
An industry's battle for survival as dollar hits 1,155, and that's on Daily Trust. Companies relocating to Ghana, retrenching textile manufacturers, employers, recommended guided float forex regime, amongst others.
The CD New Telegraph has the leading story. 891 dismissed, withdrawn petitions, prove 2023 polls credible. That's INEC talking there. The story starts on page 2 and continues on page 4. And then you have other stories. Loss of confidence in judiciary, recipe for anarchy. Chief Judge Soho speaks there.
And now let's look at the Nigerian Tribune. Supreme Court hears Atiku Obi APM's appeal October 23rd, and federal government to close third mainland bridge Saturday, Sunday. NLC accuses Labour Minister of partiality in handling NURTW crisis.
This day newspaper, let's check out what the leading story is. Presidential elections grand finale begins as Supreme Court Monday, like the way the paper puts that story, as court lists Atiku Obi APM's appeals. Then FG, that's the federal government and EU, sign 728 billion naira agreements to boost education, energy, transport, others.
The Guardian now, and what we see here is an area of universities there and their pictures. Varsities sad tales of underfunded, understaffed medical centers, and that's their big story. Hashtag NSAS activists lament non-implementation of pro-panel recommendation on page 5.
Tinubu names blueprints that say Von, that's the VONDG. Oh, it's Ndache actually. Ndache VONDG. Onilu heads NOA. Ali Nan boss. Interesting one. Of our man is also making the list there. You have that on page 7 of the paper. 2023 polls, tribunals found no merit in 74.5% of post-electric petitions. That's credited to INEC. Of 1,196 petitions, 712 dismissed, 179 withdrawn. All right, that's the last paper we're reviewing this morning, and then we'll bring in our reviewers. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time once again. So.
All right, so let's begin with it. There's an area of lead stories there, but perhaps we'll start with, first of all, congratulations are in order. I mean, round pegs and round holes.
Yes, exactly. Ndachi, our brother, Ndachi. Ali M. Ali.
I'm sure you're not surprised, chicks.
No, I'm not. they really put in their best for a million. Yeah. So it's good that they are rewarded. Congratulations,
Let's go. There are so many stories we will be wanting to look at this morning. Industry battle for survival as dollar hits 1,155 naira. This one is the one that affects almost everyone. If there are no industry, the few ones that we have that are making headway seem to be going through so much trouble. Then you have Nigeria reserves. So far, $717 million drop in September. That's coming from the CBN. Let's begin from there.
Yes, it's yesterday was very worrisome, for most persons, because when I heard the news, my friend in America sent me that, and I actually confirmed. They called black BDC operators, and they confirmed to me that dollar was being sold for at 1,155 naira in Nigeria, and that's very scary, because the more we think that things will get better, the worse things appear to be, and we don't even understand the implications yet. Because in the next 2-3 months, that's when it really dawn on us. Because like those who have opened LCs, letters of credit for import to import goods into Nigeria. So you see that in the next few months, a normal motorcycle might be going for ₦1 million, because it's what you buy that you sell. And it's even worse because when you allow a currency become subject of speculation, it's even worse, because like those who have, it's like petrol. Don't mind what an MPCL is talking about. There's scarcity everywhere. There's scarcity. Life is about supply and demand. If you have a thing in abundance, there's this saying that you don't carry coal to Newcastle, and you can't sell ice to Eskimos, because they have. I mean, if you go to tundra regions of the world, and you say you have deep freezers for sale or air conditioner, they won't buy from you. But if you say you have heaters, they will buy from you. I mean, it's natural. It's natural. It's the truth, So if you have plenty supply of petrol, people will not. This morning, I'm talking about petrol. All the major petrol stations are shut down, and there's even a bigger problem, because a lot of people invested so much in petrol retailing business. I see most of the big names, Irano, Shema, they have minimum 20-30 pumps, their stations. Now, because of the glut in sale of petrol, only 2 or 3 pumps are working. So we've not talked about the 20 or 30 petrol attendants that have, automatically lost their jobs, because nobody's talking about them. You understand? You hit the streets, cars are not there, because, I try to engage people, when I'm going home, people, I try to interact. For those who earn an average of 50,000 naira, some of them said they can't go to work anymore because it doesn't make sense. I saw someone last night, she told me that she spends about 1,500 every day to move to town, to move to work. So if you do the math, 1,500 times 5 working days, then times 4 times in a month, you see. So it's a problem. If you don't have something, you don't have it. So you see what the minister of Atiku Bagodi is saying, that the federal government is broke, and that's the reality. And I'm not an economist, I'm not a finance expert, but I have thought that we said if we removed subsidy on petrol, that there will be a lot of savings, and now from May we've removed subsidy on petrol, but things appear to be worse now than they are. So you ask yourself, what really is going on? I don't know. Maybe financial experts are gonna tell us what the problem is, because I have thought that if you have a generator set in your house, you're buying 2,000 naira worth of petrol every day or diesel, and then suddenly you have table lights. That means you'll be saving 2,000 naira times 30 days. So you're having 60,000 naira savings. So now, how much was petrol before Bola Ahmed Tinubu took over? How much is petrol now? So I thought that the difference would have been saving somewhere, as we are told. But now people are getting poorer. So you ask yourself what really is going on.
But you can't be surprised. I mean, if the dollar is hitting 1,155 and then reserves suffer $770 million drop, then you hear Bagudu say Nigeria is broke. It all ties up. I mean, how do you look at it?
Well, of course, that is how it should be. I pity this government. As far as this country's economy is concerned, because it's a very seriously battered economy. Very seriously battered. You can imagine a country's Naira selling 1,155.
This hasn't happened before.
It hasn't happened before. And I also don't know. If you look at we always know that as high as the dollar goes, also foodstuff, petrol, everything will keep going higher. And someone like Mele Kyari will be telling Nigerians that there is no plans to increase fuel. I think he has overstayed his stay as far as NNPC is concerned, because yesterday I bought fuel at 623 naira per litre.
No, you are even looking at your petrol.
I bought fuel at 623 naira per litre. And somebody is telling us that at 617, that price is not, and there are no plans. You see, any government that fails to tell its citizens the truth has failed the citizens. NNPC has failed because they will keep lying to Nigerians.
Now, is this a case of anything that goes up in Nigeria?
It doesn't come down.
I don't understand it.
Doesn't come down.
I thought the idea of the government,
the central government and the central bank should also know what to do with this Naira free fall. Because sometime last month, when it was about 800 or 900, they said CBN has introduced that will crash.
To borrow some money to ensure that there is stability.
Have we seen any result?
And then there's a new economic minister, Minister of Finance, who everybody thought had experience.
The way it is going, there will be no currency in Nigeria again. Because if you have Naira, it's like you don't have anything. There will be no currency. And that is also why you look at most of these are politicians. Most of those who have caused this stress, they don't deal with Naira. I don't know if you observed that.
The fact
most of our politicians prefer.
It's even the budget and the postulation of 700, per dollar. If you look at the benchmark and the peg. So I'm wondering how that is going to suffice with the increase against the Naira.
In fact, I went to an electronics store some time ago, and the Lebanese man there, he mocked me. He said that Nigeria's money is now going the way of their own Lebanese dollar. A lot of people who I personally know of a friend who lost so much money because you see, like here, and that's why when agencies like the FIRS, when they say that they've hit 10 trillion or this, I laugh, I chuckle, because if you look at the value of that money now, you understand? It's like somebody who, and that's why I feel very, very sad for Nigerians. Imagine what do you call this? Artisans. A mason or a carpenter, you pay 6,000 naira per day now. It's the same money he used to earn 3-4 years ago. And 3-4 years, 5 years ago, if you worked for, let me say, 10 years ago, no less than 10 years, 2015, if you were a mason and you worked for a day or two, you could buy a bag of rice. But now if you work for 2 weeks, you won't have enough money to buy a bag of rice. That's a reality.
But do you know, have you asked yourself, why is it that, like Nkoli said, nothing that goes up comes down in Nigeria? We are talking of Naira at $1,100. Have you taken time to visit the BDCs, the black markets? Those that operate there are not the owners of that firm, of the company. That is why this thing will continue to go up, because those that are operating at Zone 4, they are not the real owners of the business. They are there for people. Who are these people? We all travel outside this country. Have you ever changed your foreign medicine in a black market in another country?
No.
Have you ever? Nigeria is the only country that you hear of black market when it comes to money. You go to other countries, you go inside the bank, fill your form, and change your dollar or pounds or whatever to their country's currency. Why is it that it is in Nigeria that we will say 700 Naira benchmark, but the black market is shooting more above the 700 Naira?
Almost twice.
Something is behind it. Those who are causing this problem are the people who are holding this Naira.
So is it a case of somebody not knowing what to do, or the government not knowing exactly how to handle the situation?
These bankers are the people running the black market. And that is why they will do nothing to stop it, because that is their business. Those guys, they are affronting for them. How do they get the dollar? I mean, how do they get the Naira? Let's just, let's worry our brain. Let's use our tongue to counter what you say that. Just take time and interview them. They are not the real owners of the business. They are there for people.
It's even frightening that the Cameroonian franc is even now higher than the
Yes.
You cross over the border, people are like,
Yes,
what are you giving me Naira
for?
It's quite frightening.
It reminds us of the
I've said it here. At the point, it will get to a point that
Uganda. You remember the late Idi Amin when he accused the central bank governor of Uganda of calling of Uganda
money shit
money. You understand?
Now, the riders to this story really is quite worrisome. Companies relocating to Ghana and retrenching workers on top of what we're already having. And then you have another one-way flight ticket may hit 130,000.
No, it's inevitable. No, it's inevitable.
In this country, that is local.
No, it's inevitable because there are two things. I have thought that with the new change, with the new government, that things are going to improve security-wise and stuff. Kidnappings happen every day because these airlines, they're also cashing in on the fear in the minds of Nigerians. You wouldn't even want to travel from here to local. There are places as close as you understand, because you are afraid. So people, no matter, somebody flew to Uyo last week. The flight was for 10 o'clock in the morning. They shifted the flight to 4 p.m. and to 7 p.m. They know you don't have a choice. And that's the truth because you have poor regulation. You look at, and all these things boils down to the rule of law and order. Look at, we have a new CBN governor. We have a new minister, coordinating minister of the economy. We have thought that they're coming with magic one. But, in as much as I pity the Tinubu administration, it's also, with a pinch of salt because he promised to continue in the shoes of Muhammadu Buhari, and they brought Muhammadu Buhari. And the damage Buhari did to this government, to this country, the next 30 years, it will still be with us. And that's the truth. Look at what Justice, the FCT Chief Judge said yesterday. He said the obvious.
Okay,
if we lose confidence in the judiciary, it will be a recipe for anarchy. The Supreme Court is set to begin hearing the appeal of Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi on Monday. Understand? Then we have states too. We have states. We saw our lead the authority. We have states too because you see, if the grand norm of democracy is law and order, if you remove law and order, you understand? Adherence to the Constitution, no matter how flawed the Constitution appears to be.
All right,
we should stick to that. What we have for now, until the Constitution is amended, the issues there, they are straightforward. In elections at the national and at state level.
That's why we have to come to this story on the judiciary chokes. Loss of confidence in judiciary, recipe for anarchy.
But that's the truth.
That's what the Chief Judge has said.
So coming from the Chief Judge, it's very serious. It's very serious.
But that's very true. Loss of confidence on the judiciary means there is no law. And anarchy is in a lawless situation. But it is also the same judiciary.
That's exactly who's responsible for it.
That will either bring confidence or loss of confidence. Because like he said, there is a law. There is a constitution guiding this country. And every judgment or every decision should follow the provisions of the country's constitution. But when the judiciary now starts to bend the constitution the way it suits whoever, the loss of confidence has come in. And like I have said it, that the way the judiciary is going, it will get to a time when you will tell somebody, go to court, and he will tell you, no, I'm not going to court.
No, it's already started.
It has already started. Let us end it here. I'm not going to court. because I don't have the confidence of getting justice when I go to court. And that is anarchy.
So what do you say? I mean, let me come to chiefs now. So what do you tell the chief, coming from the chief judge? Isn't also an indictment on the judiciary?
No, it is.
Because again, you see the judiciary, giving relevance to people who didn't even contest in an election and making them, take the front lead from fourth position to first. So how do you remedy all of that?
There are two basic ingredients of democracy: free speech and then periodic elections. So because you see, they complement each other. If people cannot express themselves, you understand? If people cannot breathe, let me use the word of Akpabio. If people cannot breathe, they're not allowed to breathe. Because you see, you have to, I say this thing every time. If you have a security guard and each day you come, he tells you, oh, God, they don't thief generator, they don't do this, you fire him. That's the truth. So if you have a governor who is not doing well, you fire him after 4 years. That's the way it's done. But here, sadly, people don't do well, but they don't care. Because if you know that, okay, when civil servants go to apply for visas, they give them. Why do they give them? Because they know that they have a career. They will not go abroad and refuse to come back because they have something they are banking on when they retire. So if a man knows that he has nothing at stake, he will misbehave. If a governor knows that no matter what happens, he will get re-elected. Look at what happened in Ogun State, for instance. Somebody wrote a letter to a former governor, that CCC, government chairman. They've turned the thing. The Yoruba say, if you tarry in catching the thief now will catch the owner of the farm. And that's what that is happening everywhere. Enugu, Nasarawa, everywhere, because we are at the cusp of history, of making history. If people already lost hope in our electoral system, the judiciary now, people are fast losing hope in that. And what does that take? It takes us back to Thomas Hobbes' law of nature, state of nature, where life is nasty, where life is brutish, and where life is short. And it's a very, very dangerous, because you see, no matter how, I was talking with somebody yesterday, he has 2 children abroad, they graduated. He said, come back. He said, God forbid, this country, I will not come back. So no matter how much money we think we make, when we send our children abroad, they will not come back here. So in the next 10, 20 years, all the cream will have left Nigeria. Then all these criminals, all these thugs, all these hired killers we have around will now start becoming governors.
People are selling their private properties.
Yes,
relocate. Like you hear people who are maybe who have other citizens join to Nigeria, they will tell you that's your country, and I'm that's your country means what? You mean you have decided not to.
The judiciary should try and cleanse itself of this mess. We're talking, you see, how will you now ask somebody to go to court and like somebody, for example, we are in this country where people that never contested primaries for a particular seat, we are given tickets. We are in a country where somebody will say, join APC, your sins will be forgiven. And we have seen it happen. Spearheaded by the same judiciary. We have seen it happen. People have been sentenced, their sentence quashed, they came out and became principal officers in a country's National Assembly. We have seen a situation where somebody has defected and a case that has been on the person of corrupt, fraudulent practices quashed immediately. And we are telling us the judiciary should be respected. What type of respect is the judiciary looking for Nigerians? What type of confidence does the judiciary want Nigerians to give them? And while they are doing these things, they are laying foundation for the anarchy they are talking about. Because at a point, people will say, I don't have confidence in you. I do things my own way.
Okay, let's tie this.
Sorry, very quickly, but let's not also heap the whole blame and the fate of the judiciary. We are members of the fourth realm of the estate. Let's also beam our searchlight on us journalists, on the media. So the media has become very, very corrupt, and I owe nobody and no apologies about that. That's the truth. You see, the first thing the government does is to weaponize poverty. When people become very poor, you dunk carrots before they fall for it. You see, we get stories now. People read stories. People don't even have confidence in the mainstream media, no longer in Nigeria. And that's the truth. Because we'll be so corrupted, because we also, Nigerians, we're a product of the society. You see, we have all these pressures, you want to pay school fees, you want to do this. So, and then they get us to write stories. They pay us to make us, write, syndicate stories that are not even true. So thank God for social media. I rely more on social media than, when I see, because There's this program on Al Jazeera called Listening Post. Look at what's happening in the Middle East. If you listen to Al Jazeera and listen to CNN, they have different perspectives.
Absolutely.
Opposing perspectives. Some are pro-Palestine and some are pro-Israel. And that's the truth.
So what is the case of balancing in the traditional media, where even if somebody wants you to write a story, you are obligated to go and get the other side of the story?
You see, the problem now, and that's why I feel very sad that some of our best hands are now being appointed. You see, like those who actually put their all, who fought the military, they're now in government. You understand? So
can they not fight from within?
You see greenhorns. You see greenhorns are coming up, and there's so much pressure on them to build houses, to buy cars and stuff. So politicians come and say, okay, take 1 million naira, write this story, and they do it. So now, any story you read in the papers, you are very careful. People don't even trust the stories anymore.
Without verifying, you mean
no, it's a problem.
You mean you can just get money and write a story that you cannot verify?
That you will get a story, they will tell you, call the other group, balance your report.
Absolutely.
Because there are some.
I know that.
I'm not generalizing, but it's a problem. It's a problem.
What we are talking about here is, yes, reporters in the field can do such this thing. Editors also did, but there are also serious editors.
But there are gatekeepers who
verify
these things before they are published.
We all attend the editorial meetings. You get a story, a strong story. You feel this story can lead your paper, or you can make a cover of your paper. You don't just run it like that. And it is not the reporter's work that will come.
But I also understand. There's something called there's something called the founder's feedback in journalism, where you have to get the final word from either the owner of the institution or the media house, and they will tell you that these people are special clients.
And that's the truth.
So how do you define that?
It happens. It happens. Sometimes you will be producing your page, or they will tell you this story is from the chairman, or this story is from the MD. But there are also a way an editor can handle it. I'm not saying what Chuks is saying does not happen. Yes, the nature of the country, the corrupt nature of the country has gone down. Yes. But there are some reports that after all, every paper will avoid litigation. Every media organization, both electronics and print, will avoid the libel suits. So that is where the job of the editor and the management start. You don't just run any story the way the reporter brought it, because yes, the reporter.
We understand what you're saying, but it's also important to make that clarification that it's not in all cases.
Can do it the way they have been.
All right, gentlemen, sorry to come in here. We're told that we're definitely rounding off, and I want to say thank you, Chuks, for that insight. And there's what Charles is bringing the view.
If you're new to this channel, consider subscribing so you won't miss out any of our latest